In ZePrA 13, we have added a new Flows module. This video gives you an overview of its functionalities. In ZePrA, we offer powerful configurations to color convert files, but you need to decide which queue and configuration to use to convert your files. This can be error-prone and it requires manual user intervention, and the amount of configurations and queues will be quite high. The new Flows module was developed to apply simple rules within ZePrA to automate file processing and, as a side effect, reduce the number of queues and hot folders. So let's take a look at a simple and frequently performed task: converting customer files on a digital press and saving on inks. In the auto setup, select the new mode Link to Configurations. Select the two configurations that you wish to convert. In this case, first a configuration that converts from a standard profile like PSO uncoded to your digital press loaded with uncoded stock. And the second configuration would apply SaveInk. Both configurations need to be created in ZePrA up front, but do not require to have hot folders because the auto setup will create a dedicated queue for this flow in the process. To be able to receive the results of both conversions, we enable this checkbox. Now the flow in the queue is set up. In the overview dialog, flows are identified by a dedicated orange flow icon. For better distinction, configurations have their own blue icon. Processing of files in a flow works the same as with configurations. Simply open the input folder and throw in your files, and they will be converted immediately. In the output folder, we see the converted result of the first and the second conversion. We can easily recognize the conversion steps by the file names, as the converted files bear the names of the configurations. In the case of the second conversion, the file has both configuration names that were automatically added to the file name. So let's have a look at the conversions. If we open the converted file alongside the ink-saved file, we can compare the visual results. We see that the SaveInk variant looks identical to the converted variant, which is what we intended. But if we look at the separations, we see that the SaveInk variant uses significantly less ink, which is what we wanted. How does our flow look like? Double-click on the flow in the Overview dialog to open the Define Flows dialog. You can also use the sidebar and navigate from there. Each flow carries a name and contains one or more processing rules. The core of a flow are the processing rules. There could be one or multiple rules. A rule can be created with new and edited by double-clicking an existing rule. A rule includes one or more conditions. Here we just need one condition that should be applied to all files. So the condition is set to always. If a condition is met, a procedure can be defined, which will be executed. In my case, I have selected the Apply Configurations option and selected the desired configuration via the three dots. You see there are many more procedures that can be selected from the dropdown. Some of them will be explained later in this video. Furthermore, the next step after the procedure has been carried out must be declared. In this case, I want to use the next step, which is the second rule. In the dropdown, I can specify which step to be used, or if the flow should come to an end. In the case that a condition is not fulfilled, an alternative procedure and an alternative next step can also be defined, which is not needed here. The second rule should simply copy the conversion result of the first step. To do so, the procedure to be selected is the Copy Files option. Typically, you would select the folder where the files should be saved via the More Options button with the three dots. The path of the selected folder would be shown in the text field here. If the text field is empty, then the copied files will automatically be saved in the output folder of the flow, which is what we want in this case. The order of the steps is important because ZePrA processed the files in a flow from top to the bottom. Hence, the copy file step must be positioned right after the first conversion. You can either use drag and drop or right-click and using the context menu to move the step at the desired position. The third step is to apply the ink saving. Here again, the condition should be always valid for all files, and the procedure is to apply the desired SaveInk configuration. That is all, and it is that easy to set up. Of course, you can add more processing rules in the flow. Now we want to optimize our flow even further. I am using a copy of the previous example, which I have prepared already with the additional rules. In order to get great prints on our digital press that meet customer expectations, we want to print delivered PDF files intended for a larger color gamut on coated paper, and those files with a smaller color gamut on uncoated stock. Therefore, with a dedicated condition, we can check the output intent of the incoming files to route them accordingly. All this can be done in one flow. Have a look how you can set this up. The first processing rule that should convert to the digital press on uncoated stock has been enriched with two output intent conditions. As you can see, there are two conditions for two typical uncoated ICC profiles we want to check the files against. You can add more conditions and profiles with the plus sign. The filter logic is set to OR, which means that if one of the two profiles is found in a PDF file, the condition is fulfilled. In that case, I want the uncoated color conversion configuration to be applied. And the next step should be the following processing rule that copies the files to a defined folder, same as in our example before. In case the desired output intents are not in the PDF files to be processed, Step 4 should be used. Step 4 is an additional rule that checks the output intent of typical coded standard profiles such as ISO coded version 2 or PSO coded version 3, and if the condition is met, the coded conversion configuration shall be applied. And the rest is the same as above, only for the coated paper stock. Similar to configurations, flows can be created with or without a queue and managed in the same way. Hence, I must assign this new flow to my queue to take effect. I do this in the Define Queues dialog. Note that in the renamed Processing drop-down, configurations and flows are listed together, and you will find the flows at the bottom, below the configurations and the custom tags. To test the flow, I will be using two PDF files with two different output intents. After processing the two files, we can either check the converted files in the output folder to see what has been done, or we can use the job properties report via right-click on the processed job to see if the files have been processed correctly. In the section Processing Information of the Job Properties report, we find our three processing rules that have been applied, and we can see that this file with the PSO coded profile embedded was properly recognized and processed with the coded conversion and SaveInk configurations. Another example how to use the Flows module is to automate the Spot Color Report functionality. The Spot Color Report is a great manual feature that we have in ZePrA to check PDF files before actually processing the files. It checks how spot colors will be converted to process inks and which configuration gives the best results. Now imagine you could automatically create spot color reports for all your production files without manual user intervention. This is possible with flows. I have already prepared such a flow. When I process a series of PDF files, the results in the output folder are the spot color reports of all these files in the desired file format, in this case as JSON file format. In addition, the copies of the original not converted files are included in the output folder, added with the job IDs. Let us look at how this flow was created. You see the flow has just two rules. The first contains the selection of the configurations. With spot color conversion enabled, we want to check. Via the three dots, we can select the configurations that we want, and we define which delta e-sorting and final format of the report we want. And the second rule, which I will enable now with the checkbox, is a bit particular because it uses a special selection for the configuration to be applied. You can either type in the command $best configuration, or you select the last entry in the configuration drop-down menu. This makes sure that each file is processed with the best fitting configuration, according to the results of the spot color report, and places the converted files in the flow output folder. Let us convert the files again and have a look at the output folder. You will see the spot color report files and the PDFs with the spot colors converted to the target color space using the best configuration according to the results of the spot color report. And even better, the name of the used best configuration will be added to the converted file names for better recognition. Here is another flow. When converting pixel files such as TIFF, JPEG, or PSD, You would typically want to convert them with a direct conversion configuration in ZePrA, while PDF files typically undergo a normalize and convert configuration. Even if this is easy to manage manually with two distinct queues with flows, you can reduce it to one queue and let ZePrA route the files automatically for you. How does it work? You would set up a processing rule that filters pixel files with the following settings. Simply use the file type condition with the is1 of filter and type in all the typical pixel file formats that you work with a semicolon between the file formats. In my case, to make this flow even more interesting, I added a second condition to make sure that only images with more than 5 megabytes of size gets converted. Smaller files should be enlarged to 250 dots per inch, and a dimension of 15 centimeters in width, which is defined in the selected enlarge configuration that shall be applied in this case. I want the rule to check that both conditions are true, hence the filter logic must be set to AND. The second rule would again check the input file for the file type, and if it is a pixel file, ZePrA should use an output configuration for the conversion to the target color space. The third rule will get in action if we want to convert PDF files. If the file type is equal to PDF, then we want to apply a normalize and convert configuration. Otherwise, if jobs that are neither PDF nor pixel files, we want to generate a job error. And we can even specify how the error message should be named. In my case, I want the message wrong file format to appear. This error will act as a typical job error, and the job will be marked red, and the file will be placed in the error folder of the flow. This is a nice example of simple file type routing with additional image enhancements that are possible with ZePrA 13. This gives me the possibility to mention another new feature in ZePrA 13, which I have used in the previously used enlarge configuration. This configuration does not apply any color conversion and only enlarges images. In the new Image Quality tab, the Enhanced Resolution section allows changing the image resolution by adding thresholds for downscaling and upscaling. Previously, only a downscaling of the image resolution was possible. Now it is also possible to upscale. The first checkbox defines the desired resolution, and at least one of the threshold checkboxes must be enabled. In order that all images, regardless of their original resolution, are set to 250 dpi, I enable both checkboxes and use a threshold of 250 dpi everywhere. Another new section called Image Dimension is available for resizing image files. In my case, I want that all images end up with 250 dots per inch, and the width of all images should proportionally be scaled to 15 centimeters to match a design requirement. Spot color information can be enriched with spectral measurements in form of CXF/X4 data. ZePrA already supports spot color libraries with spectral data, and it can be a great help to have the correct spectral data travel with the PDF files when used for proofing or production printing. Imagine you could automatically embed spectral CXF measurement data in your PDF files. With flows, this is possible. You would have to create a flow with a single rule to achieve this. In that rule, the procedure to embed CXF/X4 data in PDF will be used. Click on the More Options button to open the dialog to select the spot color library that you want to use for embedding the spectral data. Only those libraries with spectral spot color measurements are listed here. In addition, specify what to do with potentially already existing spectral data in your PDF files, and what to do if spot colors do not exist in a selected spot color library. Here, I select to replace existing spectral data only if the new data from the library improves compliance with the CXF/X4 standard. And for undefined spot colors, if the name of a spot color from a production file cannot be found in the selected spot color library, I select to ignore it in this rule. In other words, only the fitting spectral data that we have in our libraries shall be embedded, and other spot colors shall be left unchanged. So let's process a sample PDF file that uses 4 spot colors in the flow. In the output folder, we find our PDF file without color conversion, but enriched with the spectral data for tech spot colors. Such a file can be used for further processing, either in ZePrA or with external tools such as RIPS for proofing that support CXF/X4. We can either check the PDF file with suitable preflight tools if the CXF data has been embedded, or we use the job report that we can get via right-clicking on the processed job. The report informs us that for 3 of the spot colors, CXF data has been embedded, and 1 spot color has not been modified. With these examples, we wanted to give you an overview of the new automation options that ZePrA 13 offers with the new Flows module. There are many more rules and possibilities that you can try out and experience. Let us know in the comments what you have done with Flows and how it has simplified your work.